Hello and welcome. Today I'm speaking with Tracy Stanley, who's also known in the literary world as TJ Stanley, as well as Jane Ellison. Yep, she's finally come out from behind her pen name. Her ninth novel, Crime Quiz, Cozy Mystery on a Cruise, will shortly be available for all to read. It's another curious story that was inspired by a real-life event. So, Tracy, what was this real-life event?
Well, I was chatting with a friend of mine who'd just been on a cruise around Australia, and she told me that at 5 o'clock in the morning, all the passengers were woken by the captain to be told that five people had died overnight. My response was, surely not, you joke. She reassured me, no, it absolutely was the truth. Um, I thought that perhaps the captain had intended to only let the crew know, which would be practical and sensible, but no, he said he told all the passengers.
Okay, so let's hear a little bit more about the story. What's the premise of it?
Well, the premise of it is really based upon what my friend told me. So, five passengers have died overnight, sending hundreds of sleuths attending a crime writers' conference on a cruise ship into investigative mode. And the captain is trying to dampen down speculation that this is anything more than just a natural occurrence.
And what inspired you to write this story?
Well, as you said, I wanted to start writing fiction under my own name. I actually went on, it wasn't a crime writers conference, a literary festival from Sydney and Hobart and back. And when I was in the workshop on plotting a novel, I thought, why not plot a novel on a ship? Perfect situation, very much with the Agatha Christie style scenario in mind.
Okay, I think you need to tell us a bit more about the cruise that you went on.
Yes, as I said, so started in Sydney down to Hobart and back via Wine Glass Bay, which is really quite lovely. Um, it was my first cruise, and I was a bit nervous about traveling on my own. I'd heard that particularly women who travelled on their own might get seated on their own table near the toilet and sort of not be treated as importantly as some of people who were couples. Anyway, I shouldn't have been afraid because I was given a table with four other independent ladies who were traveling, and every day, every evening, we would have dinner together and we'd talk about what we'd done and what we'd been learning at the literary festival. And this sort of stable, this evening conversation, I included that as a feature within my own story, Crime Quiz.
That's great. So then, what's the story in a nutshell?
Well, I like to sort of write it like a joke. So we've got a socialite, a social worker, and a vicar who walked into a bar. But let me tell you a little bit more. Let me read from the description on the back cover that's not that easy to see. Molly should be on her honeymoon, but her husband disappeared. Thomas should be preaching, but the bishop had other ideas. Lynette should be in Aspen, but her doctor refused to let her fly. Instead, they're sailing on a 5-day round trip between Sydney and Hobart. And at 5 a.m. on the fourth day of the cruise, Captain Jonas Strong announces that five passengers have died overnight. Um, if we didn't have this cruise as a crime writers cruise, this news might have caused a temporary flutter and everyone got back to enjoying the ship's activities. But as it was a ship full of sleuths, um, it became something quite different. And they were all wondering if there was much more to the announcement than they were being told. Indeed, was there a murderer among them?
Indeed. So tell us a bit more about the three main characters in your story.
Okay, Molly Jones, sorry, it's not such an original name, is a social worker based in Brisbane, 30 years of age. As you know, she's meant to be on her honeymoon with Brad. This is her first cruise and she loves love stories. Then we have Thomas Martin, a vicar, previously Reverend Martin, who's taken early retirement, lives in Sydney, 59 years of age. He likes police procedural novels, understanding what are the steps by steps that police investigators use to solve crimes. And then we have Lynette Lawrence. She's a magazine editor who's now retired, lives in Sydney, 85 years of age, drinks probably a bit too much, is on her 25th cruise, and really likes Agatha Christie style novels.
Great. And can you tell us a bit more about some of the themes that you've explored in your story?
Well, because it's a cozy mystery, certainly the whole problem solving in mysteries. Um, is it a coincidence that five people have died overnight? So solving the problem, is this really death by natural causes? And of course, as a cozy mystery, it's all about who done it, looking at who the suspects might be and what might be their motives. It also had themes of friendship. These new three people, the vicar, the socialite, and the social worker, who meet every evening. They have an increasing friendship. Um, there's there's a bit of fun as they enjoy some of the cruise experience. This was obviously before the announcement on day 4 of the cruise about the 5 deaths overnight. Um, and it's also a love story. That's a sort of a sub theme in the story as well.
Great, sounds good. And what do you want people to be saying when they turn that last page?
I hope that they're smiling rather than saying anything. I hope that they've enjoyed the cruise on the Oceanic Wanderer. I hope they thought it was perfect holiday reading, and perhaps I'm hoping that people who are about to go on a cruise take it with them. Um, and I think it'll be appreciated by people who are authors as well, because I talk a lot about authors and how and plots and what makes a successful story. The quiz itself is a crime quiz about popular crime novels. And there's also a game of Cluedo, which I think is also of interest to those who like solving mysteries.
All good to know. And where and when can our listeners buy a copy of Crime Quiz?
It went live this week. It's going to be available. It's available exclusively on Amazon. You can pick it up in the Kindle version now and in a paperback version in a week's time.
Great. And what's next then, your literary journey?
I'm working on a novel. I've had this idea inspired by other stories that I've written about two women swapping identities at the airport and going off in different destinations. Indeed, there are several women in my story who are escaping their lives. I'm still in the planning, or as I call it, the dreaming stage, but I'm looking forward to having a bit of fun with that one.
Okay, well, thanks, Tracy. So you can learn more about Tracy's books at tjstanley.com and Jane's books at janeellison.com. So until next time, bye bye, everybody.